Sakura, let's talk about some choices you've made. You know, every now and then we all get a little off track. Even Peter once tried walking on water and sank like a rock when he doubted. Don't feel too bad. But we need to talk about those times when your actions were driven by, let's call it, less than kind motives. You remember those days when you treated Naruto more like an annoying fly than a teammate, don't you? Now, I know Naruto's energy can be a bit much. Trust me, I dealt with fishermen who couldn't stop arguing over the silliest things, so I get it. But here's the thing. When you push people away because they don't fit your idea of what they should be, you're not only hurting them, but you're also closing yourself off from growing in ways you wouldn't expect. Take Naruto, for example. That boy's determination. I've rarely seen something like that. And yet you dismissed him for so long. You judged him based on what? His pranks. His inability to control his powers back then. And then look how far he's come. It's like writing someone off before they've even had a chance to become the person they're meant to be. It reminds me of how people used to look at the tax collectors in my day. Despised, unwanted. But you know who I spent time with? Those exact people. Not because I wanted to approve of what they were doing, but because I could see beyond their mistakes. I knew that with the right guidance, they could change. And many of them did. Imagine if you treated Naruto with the same grace back then. What kind of teammate you could have been for him. And hey, speaking of teammates, what about Sasuke? Now I know that situation's a little more complicated, but we'll get to that later. What's important here is learning how to recognize when our actions, whether they seem small or big, don't align with the person we really want to be. You see, you've got to ask yourself, is this decision driven by love, kindness, or patience? Or is it driven by pride, anger, or frustration? You've got a strong spirit, Sakura. But sometimes that spirit pushes in the wrong direction. Remember those competitions with Ino back in your younger days? I know. Rivalry can feel like motivation, but when it becomes about proving your worth by beating someone else down, you've missed the point. Think of it this way. Would I have led my disciples into rivalries with each other? Imagine Peter and John competing over who could heal better, or who followed my teachings more closely. It would have been chaos. Instead, I taught them to serve, to lift each other up, and to build a community of kindness, not competition. And you, Sakura, need to learn the same lesson. Now I get it. You grew up feeling like you had something to prove. Maybe you thought that by showing how much stronger you were than Ino, or how smart you were in front of Sasuke, you'd gain respect. But that's a slippery slope. Respect rooted in self-promotion crumbles faster than a sand castle in a storm. Let me ask you this. What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Do you want people to remember you for how you looked down on others when they didn't meet your standards? Or do you want to be remembered for the times you extended your hand, even when it wasn't deserved? You see, even in my time, I had plenty of chances to show off. Turning water into wine? Yeah, I could have built an empire on that if I wanted. But that's not what it was about. Every miracle I performed had one goal: to help, to heal, and to lift someone up. Not to gain praise for myself, but to inspire others to love more. So when you look back at how you treated Naruto, Ino, and even Sasuke, you need to ask yourself, was I trying to help, or was I just trying to win? But here's the good news, Sakura. The past doesn't define you. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made or how many times you've let your emotions cloud your judgment. What matters is what you do next. Remember, I walked with people who messed up constantly. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about learning, growing, and choosing better the next time. And you, Sakura, have that opportunity right now. Don't dwell on how you fell short. Focus on how you can do better going forward. Think of each moment as a chance to choose kindness over ego, patience over frustration, and understanding over judgment. And one last thing on this point. When you treated Naruto badly, what you didn't see is that you were missing the chance to become stronger together. You see, strength isn't just about how hard you can hit or how powerful your jutsu is. It's about who you stand with. I'm sure you've figured this out by now, but Naruto's loyalty, his willingness to stand by you no matter what, that's a strength far greater than anything you could have imagined back then. But it's never too late to recognize that. And it's never too late to change your ways. What you've done in the past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have to define your future. Sakura, I've noticed something about you. You've got a fierce, competitive streak. You push yourself hard, and that's commendable. But sometimes you confuse strength with status. Let's talk about humility for a moment. See, when you're out there fighting to prove yourself, there's a part of you that believes your worth comes from what others think of you. Whether it's trying to earn Sasuke's admiration, or showing Ino who's the stronger kunoichi, or trying to prove to yourself that you belong in the elite ranks of the Leaf Village, you've been chasing validation like it's some kind of prize. But you know, validation from others, it's like trying to catch the wind. Let me tell you a little secret. When I was walking the earth, I had every chance to build an earthly kingdom. I could have been a king, gathered armies, and built a throne out of gold. But I didn't. I washed people's feet. Why? Because true strength isn't about standing above others. It's about getting down on your knees to serve them. Let's think about how you handle competition. You and Ino. Oh, that rivalry goes way back. You used to get caught up in comparing yourself to her, seeing her as your enemy instead of your sister. Now, rivalry isn't always bad. It can push us to be better. But when your drive becomes about proving that you're superior to someone else, you've let pride lead the way. And pride, it's like walking through the forest with a blindfold on. You think you're moving forward, but really you're just stumbling. You know that verse, whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. That's not just spiritual wisdom, it's practical advice. The more you put yourself on a pedestal, the harder it is when you fall. And you've had some falls, haven't you? Like that time you focused so much on your feelings for Sasuke that you couldn't see the truth about him. It's okay to love someone, but love that blinds you to reality, that's dangerous, and pride loves to play tricks like that. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. You don't need to keep proving yourself, Sakura. The people who matter most, the ones who love you for you, they already see your worth. Naruto, he never needed you to be perfect. Tsunade didn't take you under her wing because you were flawless. She saw potential in your heart, not just in your fists. Even Sasuke, in his own way, recognized the fire within you. But if you keep chasing that external validation, you'll never be satisfied. It's like training only to show off your strength in a fight. Sure, you might win, but you're missing the deeper point. Real growth comes when you don't need to prove anything to anyone. When your strength comes from within, grounded in humility, knowing that your worth isn't tied to being the best. And humility will take you places your fists never could. You want to know the real trick to being strong? It's not about crushing your enemies or standing above the rest. The greatest leaders in history, the ones who truly changed the world, were the ones who served others. I mean, look at Naruto. You used to see him as this goofball, but he's one of the most humble, selfless people around. And that's why he's become so powerful. He's a living testament to what humility can achieve. You can have that same strength, Sakura. But first, you've got to let go of the idea that you need to win all the time. There's this funny thing about life. It's not the victories that make us, but the struggles. The moments where we fall flat on our faces and have to decide whether to get up with pride or with humility. You've got to ask yourself, which one helps you grow? And trust me, I've had plenty of chances to humble people in my day. There was that time my disciples were arguing over who would be the greatest in heaven. Imagine that. Here I am, trying to teach them about love and service, and they're arguing like it's a ninja ranking exam. I had to remind them that greatness doesn't come from a title or from how many missions you've completed. It comes from how well you serve others. So let's take a page from that, Sakura. Next time you feel that urge to prove yourself, to show that you're better, stronger, smarter than the rest, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of pride? If the answer is pride, take a step back. There's no need to rush toward the finish line of recognition. The people who need to see your strength already do.